Hey, and welcome to my first annual Top 10 list. My favorite movies of 2018. Of course, I didn't get to see every movie that came out this year, but I tried to see at least one movie every week. Remember, these are just the movies that I like. Not even what I thought to be cinematically superior, just the stuff I like. Got it? My Top 10 list. If you don't agree, make your own, no sweat off my brow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time rehashing my reviews. If you want to see the full review, I'll include links below. So without further ado, here are the UUMR Top 10 Movies of 2018. Number 10, A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is all about atmosphere and tension. John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are fantastic, and I love that the movie lets us know how high the stakes are right out of the gate. No mercy. I'm still not sure how I feel about the ending, but I definitely recommend seeing it. Number 9, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is the most recent addition to my list, and I have to admit I'm surprised it's here. My expectations were pretty low going into this one. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even the movie I had planned on seeing that weekend. But I did, and I ended up being pleasantly surprised. I very much enjoyed the dialogue and pacing, but it was the animation that really sold this movie for me. It's a really good-looking movie, and the animated attention to detail is fantastic. Plus, you don't have to be crazy familiar with Spider-Man to enjoy it. Number 8. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Crimes of Grindelwald. This movie got a lot of crap, and I understand why. I actually changed my rating for this one twice, but upwards both times. The more I thought about this film, the better I liked it. I still haven't seen it a second time yet, but I very much want to. I imagine that people who aren't super into Harry Potter lore probably won't get much out of this movie, but I'm not one of those people, and I ended up loving it. Number 7. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I recently had an opportunity to see this one again, and it was just as good the second time through. Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly are great together, and I like that Lilly recently shot down ideas of a Wasp solo flick, stating that she didn't like the idea and that Ant-Man and the Wasp are a team and should remain so. The only real downside to this movie is that there really is no big bad. Otherwise, it's a fun flick. I can't wait to see what role Ant-Man plays in the upcoming Avengers Endgame. Number 6. Black Panther. Let's be honest, the hype over this film was way too big and notably disingenuous. But was it a good movie? Heck yeah, it was. Chadwick Boseman is fantastic as T'Challa, and Michael B. Jordan is a freaking beast as Killmonger. I'd give it a ding for just being so CGI heavy, but I really don't think there was a way you could have done this movie with a ton of practical effects, and let's face it, most movies in the MCU are super CGI heavy anyways, so... If you haven't seen it, do so. You'll be glad you did. Number 5. Deadpool 2. What can I say about Deadpool? He's awesome, and Ryan Reynolds is the only person who could have brought Deadpool to life. I'll admit that Deadpool 2 is not as good as Deadpool, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Just not quite as fantastic. Josh Brolin and Zazie Beetz were great as Cable and Domino respectively, but Julian Dennison really got on my nerves. I'm curious to know where they're going to go from here, but wherever they go, I'm 100% on board. Number 4. Avengers Infinity Wars. A lot of people crapped on this movie because you couldn't watch it by itself out of the context of the rest of the MCU. However, I think that's what makes this movie so good. We've spent years with all of these characters, and from the very first Iron Man, this was what we've been working towards. And in my mind, it paid off big. Not only was Infinity Wars fantastic, but it has me, and I'm sure legions of MCU fans, on the edge of our collective seats, eager to see what happens in Avengers Endgame. Number 3. Incredibles 2. I've heard it said that The Incredibles is possibly the best superhero movie ever made, so it was no surprise that Incredibles 2 would someday make it to the big screen. Director Brad Bird said a long time ago that he would be up to doing an Incredibles sequel, provided there was an actual story to tell and it wasn't just a cash grab, e.g. the Cars sequels. So when I saw that Brad Bird was signed on to direct Incredibles 2, I knew something good was on the way. Incredibles 2 does a great job with the husband-wife role reversal without going down the road of making Bob look like a completely useless dolt. While it's not quite as good as the first one, it is certainly a worthy successor. Number 2. Mission Impossible Fallout. I'm a huge fan of the Mission Impossible franchise, and Fallout does not disappoint. Fallout is packed to the gills with action sets that are fantastic and keep you on the edge of your seat. It actually took me a while to figure out who the real bad guy was, though maybe I was just a little slow on the uptake that day. I still think Ghost Protocol is my favorite, but Fallout is right there behind it. Number 1. Ready Player One. Now remember, this is a list of my favorite movies of the year, not the best movies of the year. I realize there's a pretty questionable distinction for most people, but not for me. Ready Player One is not a perfect movie, but I've probably watched it a dozen times this year, and I'll probably watch it a dozen more next year. It's just a fun romp down nostalgia lane for me, and I love watching it. Plus, I just can't get over how much I love seeing Mark Rylance on the screen. Dude is amazing. And that's it. Of the movies released in 2018 that I got to see, those are my favorites. Feel free to post your own top 10 below, and thanks for joining me for my first year of rambling. Here's looking forward to a great 2019. There are some fantastic looking films on the horizon, and I can't wait to see what makes my list next year. See you then.